Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Look Beyond the Continent. I'm here with my co-host Emil,
Welcome, everyone.
and today we are going to be talking about the Nilfgaard card reveals. So far, we are two sets into the new expansion. What is it? Harvest the Sorrow? Isn't that what it's called? I believe.
Yeah, Harvest of Sorrow. That's right.
Yes. So yeah, that'll be the upcoming third expansion on October 5th. So let's talk about the new cards as to what was revealed today for Nilfgaard.
So, obviously, from our last episode, we did discuss, the Square style cards that came out, and we also talked about the neutral mushy truffle that also came out. But this time, we're looking at Nilfgaard, which is personally my favorite faction. And what are your thoughts, Ezra's? Because just looking at it from a glance, it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a graveyard fest with these kind of cards.
Well, besides soggy mushrooms and all, I'm just kidding. Um, I don't know. I think that this is something that Nilfgaard has always excelled at, is always manipulating your opponent's graveyard. So like that concept isn't new, but what these cards are going to be doing, and when we talk about them, that is new. Um, it seems like a lot of these cards, especially the bronzes, have the power to like really disrupt your opponent's strategies. And if we want
Well,
to, do you want to start off with the Illusionist?
okay, so the Illusionist is a 4 provision card, 3 points. And on its deploy, it spawns a base copy of a bronze unit from your opponent's graveyard on the right of this card and sets its power to 1. Interesting. If it is bonded though, don't set its power to 1. So it's giving me the Artorias Vigo vibes where, kind of creates a card. Well, is it create? Well, this is a spot, but basically, I'm already thinking like, okay, this is good for the assimilate engines because you basically spawn a card and that would count. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Um, I don't know. I don't think assimilates will trigger on spawns. I think it's only when they're played.
When they're
I could
created?
be wrong. No, because this is spawning a base copy.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think it's actually gonna proc assimilate.
Okay,
So I
interesting.
just think it's just a way to just put an engine on your side of the board from your opponent's graveyard. And I was just thinking just now, um, with the way that Nilfgaard can copy a lot of your opponent's cards, this card could see a lot of value, especially with the bonded effects. Let's just say you steal a greatsword from your opponent's graveyard. That's pretty big.
But I don't think you
That's
steal it, right? I think you
well, you
make a
don't steal it. You
copy.
spawn a base copy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I
But
mean, in terms of stealing, because you're basically copying their card. But yeah,
I mean, I'm already thinking about the great sword also with monsters with their, the griffins as well.
yeah, yeah.
Because
You
if
could
you spawn
totally
it,
do that
you're
as
not
well.
having to deploy it and consume an allied unit, right? You're just spawning it. But again, look,
Exactly.
if you want to get full value out of this card, you have to play it bonded. So if you were to
Yeah.
go and I guess if you were, I'm thinking like even if you were to play something from, what would you want as a 1 point card on your side? Because I
Mm,
can't think of any. Because even if you were to say like, I guess you could play like an Elven Seer. That might give you value if it survives. But yeah, if you did the Sorceress of Double Thana, there's no point in making a 1 point copy because you need her to be at least 4 points to create a spell.
right. Yeah. Actually, trying to think. What do you want as a 1 point card for a bronze?
I think that's something
Ah,
we'd have
well,
to.
if we've seen it before, you could technically do like, okay, so because Rex Flurry is still around, not only do we have the great swords, like I said, but you can also do the Raging Bears that people seem to be copying with the Metascopes. That's also a
Okay.
consideration. And you don't have to
You'd
worry
want
about
that
the
as a
deploy
one
effect to
point?
where. No, 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 no. I'm just saying. Oh, and not as a 1 point, but just like if it's
Oh,
if it
abundant.
were bonded, but like
Yeah.
yeah, but
But
as
that's
a
what I'm
one
trying to
point
say.
card,
Yeah, so I'm
yeah.
trying to say I think this card most likely it would have to be a duplicate in your deck, and you would hope to have both of them so that.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Do
guess like the
do you
first
remember the
time
deck that I played against you?
in
Do you
our
remember the deck
tournament,
that I used?
the Team
Yeah, yeah,
Legacy
yeah.
tournament, yeah.
Yes. The veteran card. The Chursak veteran that I used.
Oh, okay, but
The
see,
one where
yeah, would he come
he
back
would
and
trigger
heal once he spawned?
he, yeah, because his berserk kicks in.
Interesting.
If
I think I remember.
that were something that somebody played, yeah. I mean, if it does it with Iteran, then yes, that would be a consideration for a 1 point card you'd want because it would instantly go back up to 8.
Yeah. It actually. Yeah, it would. It would work for that instance, I guess. So, I guess for the berserk ability, this might work really well if you're not playing it
Mm-hmm.
bonded. If you are playing it bonded, you're able to go get something from your opponent's deck that has a lot of points. So
Correct.
if you would like, let's for example, if you were to play, it would mean that you would have to have one of this already on the board, right? And then you would have to play this
Mm-hmm.
again. So if you played the second one and you aimed for, let's say, a Griffin, then that's 12 points, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting card, and also, it's in 3 categories, right? It's a human, mage, and a soldier. So that's also to keep
Yeah,
in mind.
exactly. So this is something that's very good with Ramon. If you want to make the bonded effect much easier, because Ramon can do armor on it as well. So it would make it basically 5 power for the 2 armor. Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't do that with Ramon. And you notice that Amir is in the middle. I wonder if that's really him or not. Is that
Is
Amir?
that?
Yeah, that is him.
I'm having
Yeah.
to look closer too. Is that him? I don't know. Is that him when he
Let me
was
zoom
younger?
in. Yes, that is Emperor Amir, I believe. He's the only
But I
one that
don't
ever
think
wore
so
that kind of
because
tunic.
I don't think
He
so
does seem to be
because
smiling. I think it could be like um what's his name? Doodoo. It could be Doodoo, but I don't think Doodoo would ever
but it says
identify
here
himself as a
it's
Nilfgaard.
yeah, the card name is Illusionist.
Yeah. So I'm
So
saying
that
it does seem a little odd that he is dressed up like a mirror,
so maybe it's just
if that
somebody
is it.
that's pretending to be Emil because he's making an
Yeah,
illusion.
it could
It's
be
a mage.
like a mage using like some kind of identity spell. Because no way Emperor Amir would be out on the battlefield like that.
There's no way. I think that's what they're trying to bait them for, right?
Exactly. Imagine having the Emperor of Nilfgaard just out on the battlefield. Instant win for the war.
Moving on to the next
Um,
card, which is a rare card.
yeah, we've
So
already seen this card revealed, I believe, during the Open. I think it was the last Open. This was teased, along with I believe it was Squirtle, right? Was it Bountiful Harvest that was teased with it? I think. I'm pretty
so
sure. I think it was Bountiful Harvest that was teased along with Imperial Practitioner in the last Open.
yeah, so this is a rare card with a 5 provision cost, but also 5 point power. It's a human and a mage. It's got a simulate value, interesting, and we see it with
Mm-hmm.
an order. So again, spawn a base copy of the last card that went to your opponent's graveyard on top of your deck. Okay, so wait, if I think about that, so whatever the last card that went into your opponent's graveyard, we're going to spawn on top of our deck. So I'm already thinking,
So
just initial thoughts, I'm thinking this might play well with maybe a Joachim. Uh,
true.
but I mean, it's like,
I
what would
mean,
I?
I feel like this is something you would want to use in conjunction with location.
Mm-hmm.
And use this guy as like a dry pass in round 2,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put that card on top of your deck, for round 3. Because I don't see you
Mm-hmm.
using it in the same round, to be honest.
But
Just
why would they give it
because,
an assimilate? Why would it be an assimilate
well,
engine?
yeah, it would be an assimilate engine if you wanted to use it in the same round. But unless you had a way to draw
Mm-hmm.
that card, then It's just a 5-point card with an assimilated engine. That's it.
Actually, you know what I just thought of? Furcut.
Mm-hmm.
Because Furcut would draw it. So if there was something that you wanted from your opponent's graveyard,
Yeah,
you could.
that's true. Yeah, Fur card would draw it.
Yeah, but
It
look,
doesn't even specify what it is. It could be, you could even put it on Nero on top of your deck. That's pretty
oh,
nuts.
interesting. Spawn a base copy of that last card that went to your opponent's grave. Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That is very true. So you could get what, a double
Um,
Oniro? You could.
I mean, technically you could, because if it's the first time they've used Oniro, then yes, it'd be the first time you've used it. So yeah, you could technically do that, but I don't know if you would because then that also clogs up your deck as well. Because Oniro isn't technically thinning your deck; it's
Yeah.
being put on top again. So you are losing out on a mulligan just to have a card that would draw you or let you play anything from your deck. So I don't know if it's considered very
I think it's,
valuable on top
yeah.
of that.
I think it's a very interesting card because I think initially we're kind of like, ooh, what do we actually do with this card? And that's my initial. I'm not. I don't speak for everyone, of course, but my initial thoughts were like, what would I actually. How do I get the full value for this card, and what would I actually want from my opponent's graveyard? And I think it's one of those cards that we might maybe write off as maybe being like, oh, what do we actually want from it? And then when we actually go to play it, we might discover things
Correct.
that we might have just skimmed over, right? So I think it's one of those cards
Exactly.
that, yeah, may be underestimated, could be broken. We don't know yet. I guess it's time will tell until we can play it in the next patch.
Exactly. Like I said, there could be a lot of fun interactions with this card. I actually think this card could be pretty valuable for a 5P. We have already seen the value of Blightmaker, and the fact that it was nerfed very quickly after it came out, being that, for a 5 provision card, it was getting 11 points, and then they were like, okay, hold on, this is kind of too good. Let's bump it up one more provision.
Oh well, as I mentioned before, I'm new to Gwent, so I don't remember Blightmaker being 5 provision. I've always known it as 6 provision. So it's
Yeah, but when
interesting
it
to
came
know.
out,
It
it
used to
was
be
5
five
provisions.
provision, yeah. Because I think Blightmaker is one of the best bronzes you could have in a Nilfgaard deck. Like without doubt, that's something you would include because it's just points, and then
Mm-hmm.
thinning. It's just I don't know. It's just kind of like a no-brainer to include it in your deck.
Exactly, yeah. It's definitely one of those must-have cards in your deck, especially with, the fact that Hyperthin is pretty much, I want to say, Nilfgaard's probably best deck at the moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and so, like, this card being in there as well is also really well because, like, it's tempo, um, especially in a mirror, which is pretty cool. Now that I'm curious, I wonder, does this work if you put, like, a Fawn on top of their deck?
Oh, what? Sorry.
Like if you were to put a Fawn or, a Mage Assassin or whatever on top of your deck, does that work?
That's what I was thinking too. Like if you were doing an NG mirror, are you suggesting? So if you
Mm-hmm.
say
Yeah.
if your opponents, yeah. Um,
I mean, it doesn't say it's
but I
moving
think
it, so
I
it's
think
just
let
spawning it.
yeah, I think a fan is if it's summoned to the top.
Well, if it's
If moved to
moved,
the
I
top
believe. I
of your
think they're,
deck, yeah,
yeah, so I
summon
don't
this
know if
unit to
it's,
the melee row.
yeah, I don't know if that's considered. I would have to see it how it works in play, but I definitely want to try that
Mm,
out. Because this
yeah,
makes this card even better than, uh,
I'm not sure if that works for Mage Assassin as well. Because for
yeah, I
Mage
think a Mage Assassin
Assassin,
has to be moved from the top of
yeah,
from
move
your
to the
deck to the
top of
top.
your deck during your turn. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It'll be really interesting. Yeah, definitely. But already we can see a theme happening here for the new cards for Nilfgaard. I guess we're moving on to the next card, which is an epic card. So we have Lydia Van Redevort. She is a human and
Mm-hmm.
a mage. I think everyone for this reveal is a human and a mage. So she is nine.
Yeah.
She is 9 provision cost. With a 5 pound. Sorry, a 5 point power. Okay, so she has 2 abilities here. So when on deploy on the melee row, create and play a bronze special card from your opponent's faction. If she is deployed on the range row, play a bronze special card from your opponent's graveyard. So we were chatting about this off this recording, and we were just discussing would be great for if you were playing against Scoia'tael. Because for me personally, I find the Scoia'tael, the Spellatael in particular, I find it's a tough matchup.
Oh yeah, it's a very tough matchup because like if they win round one, they have Lasse and Gord is just always most likely going to be 20 plus points. So this card's interesting. Also a little bit of lore background for anybody to Witcher universe. Lydia is actually the assistant to Vilgefortz. So she's his right hand woman.
I'm just looking. So I'm looking at the artwork, right? And what is over her face? Can you?
It's a plant.
Give me a little insight. A plant.
Yeah, it's a plant that's over her face, like this.
Like it's like a shadow. Yeah.
Yeah. So
basically,
the concept is that. So Lydia is actually just as deformed as Vilgefortz, facial wise. So have you seen Vilgefortz in the card? Yes. For his previous iteration up until this newest one? His face is all, I believe, burned or whatever, or scarred. Mm-hmm. Lydia is the exact same way.
So her face is kind of hidden by the plant?
Well, it's not. It's hidden. She actually has using, like, her mage powers to conceal, like, the disfigurement over her face.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So and she's also a painter. So it's basically kind of like I'm painting away the ugliness, I guess, in a sense.
I mean, as a woman, yes, you'd be very self-conscious if your face was disfigured. Yeah. So I guess being a mage, you can permanently put a plant over your face so no one can really see.
Yeah.
Okay, so
just imagine just one little plant.
So let's make a scenario. So if we were to play this on the melee row, we would create and play. And I don't know why I keep thinking of Scoia'tael. There's other factions that you'd want to play a special card from, but let's just go with Scoia'tael for now, just for this, hypothetical situation. So we create and play a bronze special card from your opponent's faction. What are your initial thoughts of what you would play? For me, firstly, I would say that Lydia would be great if you played it with an informant, because if you were able to copy a seer from your opponent, play an orb, and then kind of set up carryover for yourself.
We all know that create is random, so it's 1 of 3. And it's anything from your opponent's faction, so
I mean, RNG would definitely come into play here, yeah. I mean, now that I think about it, it could work against you in the sense that if you don't get the card that you are hoping for, then
I mean, she's just an assimilate proc and plus, whatever. But I think where her true ability and where she really truly wants to be played is on ranged. It'll allow you to play a bronze special card from your opponent's graveyard.
Yeah, does that mean you steal it from your opponent?
Yes, because it's like an experimental remedy. You know how remedy will steal from their graveyard?
Yeah.
And play their card?
Let's steal the orb.
It's the same thing. Yeah, let's steal the orb, exactly. It's a 9-point play, but it's denying 4 points to carry over. Well, not 4 points to carry, but 4 points for the next time that it's played again, and then 1 point for Gord. So she's technically playing for 10 points if you steal an orb.
Yeah, but you also, as you mentioned, you would deny their strategy. So say if they were setting up, again, I'm still talking about Scoia'tael, but I'm always trying to think of how I can play against them. But if your opponent was doing the Alzor Feign Death, which can be very powerful, you can kind of deny the orbs for them, right? If you play it on ranged, and you can steal one of their orbs and kind of make it more difficult for them to get their Alzor's full value straight away. We've all faced it before, where our opponent plays Alzor, and because they've set up the orbs nicely, Alzor just slams down like 30 to 40 points in one turn.
Exactly, yeah. And that's just something you just can't interact with, so Yeah, Lydia being able to deny, a bronze special card from your opponent's graveyard, it's pretty big, especially for Scoia'tael, because they rely on the carryover for some of their spells to be played later on. And also another interesting thing too, Lydia could deny rebukes for Forest Protector.
we're just
So
thinking
there's
of
another
how
thing too.
we can play against Scoia'tael. I think touching on other
Yeah.
factions, I'm trying to think of what sort of special cards you would want to take from other factions. I think I'm the other thing I
Um,
the one I'm thinking. No, it's actually not. It's not a monsters special. Uh, yeah, the only one I'm
on
really thinking of
special.
that it's. Yeah, I was thinking of a Bone Talisman, but that's more of a neutral card, so that wouldn't even show up. But um,
No, it would. It's a special
oh,
still. It's
actually
still
no, you
bronze.
can
Bronze.
a bronze. Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking of the melee where it says, uh, when you create and play a bronze special card from your opponent's faction.
Yes. So yeah, it would steal. Theoretically, it could steal a Bone Talisman against AQ.
If
If
you
they've
wanted
already
to.
previously played one. Yeah, if you wanted to.
But basically, it would mean that
Um,
your whole NG deck for, like, if you were to use, and I'm just talking about these cards, and we'll get to Filgaforts in a minute, but with these four cards, it basically means that you want to play your opponent's deck. Like, we already know that NG does that, but I feel
hmm.
these cards take it to another level. Like, we are literally playing whatever our opponent is playing. So it's
Yeah,
kind of almost like a mirror.
it's like that old saying, anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah, yeah.
If you've ever heard of that, it's that whole trope. Nilfgaard is going to excel at being able to play your opponent's deck better than they can.
I think for 9 provision cost, I think Lydia is a very, very good card.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think she's probably the best card out of this whole entire set. I will say that, just because of the amount of possibilities she could technically pull off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's just seems just like it's the only card on here that's doesn't require a condition. Where it's like, um, she technically. Okay, now that I think about it, it is kind of scary because she does have to rely on your opponent playing something. If they know that you may have a Lydia, then they may not play a special card on for you to steal from their graveyard.
I think, yeah, I mean, you could take that argument, but also it would just mean that your opponent, if they're having to try and play around you all the time, they would really struggle with, getting points on the board in round one and setting up carryover. Um,
Hmm.
so I guess for your opponent, it's kind of that risk you have to be willing to take where, okay, do I play these? Because if you're having to play, it's like, say, I'm just talking about from their point of view, but if you're having to think about, like, okay, if my opponent has Lydia, and then you're too, I guess, afraid, or you're trying to play around, putting your orbs and setting up Alzor, then how would you actually win round one and defend a bleed in round two, possibly? Because you've been thinking
Exactly.
about, yeah, oh, my card's going to be taken. But in saying that, we haven't even mentioned him, but I think Lemons, I think we're going to see more of him because of these cards.
Oh yeah, Xavier may actually be very. I don't think I've ever actually seen somebody wanting to banish their own cards from their graveyard after they use them. Um, I don't know if that's probably maybe kind of a meme, but if it really could affect a lot of assimilate engines for Nilfgaard, I could see why. Because that could be pretty scary if you have, Practitioner, Brathens, um, Terra Nova, any of the Mage Torturers. That's a lot of points if she's able to play something from their graveyard and deny them something for later.
So yeah, I think we'll see more of him. Yeah, and I've never seen anyone want to banish their own cards, but I think in this instance, it would be a case of, okay, let me play my good cards and then let me get rid of them so that my opponent can't use it.
Uh,
So
Imagine
I
just
think
just play Xavier just to banish all your cards. And just like, all right,
I
nothing for
think
you.
you
You just
have
get a
to
5 point
because
Lydia.
moving on to the next card, right? So we have the legendary. It's a Bilge Renegade. He's a human, mage, and an agent. Interesting. He is a 6-point card with a 13 provision cost. His ability is a deploy ability, so swap a card from your opponent's graveyard with a card in your hand. And again, going back to Xavier Lemons, this is why people would want to banish things from their graveyard. Something that came to mind straight away when I saw this card. I was thinking of, when in Skellige, when they play Melusine, and then they revive her with the right in subsequent rounds. Bilge can steal the Melusine.
Oh yeah, and it would be huge value if you trade like a Attorney Joust for her, or a Mage Assassin that's stuck in your hand that you bricked into and you don't have a way to play it. So yeah, that could be huge value. But it has to be something in your hand. Otherwise, I believe if you're trying to play him as last say, then it will not work. It's just a 6-point card. It becomes just as bad or as worse as Rience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to have a card in your hand. And if it's something that you don't really want to give up, so let's say you have an Invo and you want to trade for a Melusine that has not come out yet, I don't know if it trades up very well. Because that is a tall punish that you are denying yourself. Same thing with, let's say if you were stuck with the other Vilgefortz in Hyperthin and you wanted to destroy, one of the 3-point bodies in Triss or Yin, and you're denying yourself, the Golem from your deck after you've done your Hyperthin shenanigans with it. So I don't see you actually running this card in Hyperthin.
I would say you wouldn't. Just thinking about it,
I just feel like it would mess with your cards too much.
But also because of the provision cost alone, I think it's a very expensive card.
It's very expensive. You can't. I mean, ever since they nerfed Wanderers and they brought it up to 13 from its previous 11, Hyperthin has really struggled with what they can fit in their deck now. Those 2 provisions may not seem like a lot to most players, but that's actually quite a bit. That can determine whether you could fit 1 or 2 cards in that you would have been able to or not be able to fit before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think even just a 1 provision cost difference makes a world of difference in terms of deck building. It just means like there's certain cards you can't play anymore. I mean, when they nerfed the relics, all my decks that I have in my list that were relics, they're all, and I haven't touched them because I didn't want to play relics this season, but basically they were unplayable. And it would mean I would have to go back to my deck and think about what to take out, what to put in, and it just changes the whole dynamic of your deck.
Yeah, like it's pretty crazy. Like, we undervalue the provision system a lot. Being able to what you could fit in, you think, okay, I can fit this 13, this 12, this 11, this 10, this other 10, this other 9, this other 10. It's like eventually you run out of space and you're like, yeah, it adds up, and then you're like, okay, how do I fit all this?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be very good. I don't think it's a bad card, but it's also not a great card because like I said, you having to give up something from your hand that could determine whether it's a very good card for your hand. And if it's very bad, then maybe it trades up. I don't know. Like I said, it's very situational. If you have last, it's almost like it's almost like this card has patience to it, or not patience, but adrenaline, because it's not something you want to play as last say.
No, yeah. I think, look, it's very situational and conditional. So I think me personally, and I never say never, but I don't see myself playing this card too often. I would give it a go just to see how it is, but I'm already thinking that I don't like cards where I like my control. So right. I think this card is very situational, and it really depends on your opponent. It depends what if they've got in their graveyard. Again, it's a 13 provision cost, so you would have to weigh up like, okay, is this 13 provision cost card worth being situational, and also maybe whatever my opponent's got in their graveyard isn't what I really want. But again, I think it's a card that works well with the other cards within this set because they focus on the opponent's graveyard. So potentially we'll see the synergies work together well. But I think initial thoughts. I don't know if it's my favorite one out of this set.
Right. Like I said, yeah, it's like I said. I think my favorite card is Lydia. Vilgefortz is just very expensive, and I feel like there's just better cards you can play. If you're just gonna swap something from your opponent's graveyard, you might as well just run it yourself. Or location Cantarella probably does it better than Vilgefortz does.
I would say that as well, yeah. But can we just, for 1 second, let's just talk about the artwork. Because before we started recording, I said to you, this artwork's very interesting because when I first saw it, I was like, it looks like he's a character out of Star Wars. He looks like a Jedi. With like a double lightsaber
He's got his
sword
double-bladed
or something.
lightsaber. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of glowing blue as well. I can't tell exactly what that is. It looks like I'm guessing it's a staff, like a mage staff. But I could be wrong. But
it looks
yeah,
like a mage
from
staff,
far,
and he's just like he's moving it very fast with some type of magic.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe to like hit repeatedly, but yeah, it does look like he does have a lightsaber if you were to give it a quick glance and then look away. It does have those Star Wars vibes to it.
Definitely has Star Wars vibes.
And I believe you were telling me also, you said you were at this point in the book, right? Which book is that?
Oh, I don't know the name, so don't shoot me, guys, if you're listening. But it's the second one in the Witcher book series. The one after Blood of Elves.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, and isn't it funny how we were talking about that? And right there at the bottom, we were saying Vilgefortz is probably one of the few mages who is very close to killing Geralt. And look at his little card tag at the bottom.
Yeah, it's 4 times Geralt struck to the temple, to the neck, under the arm, to the thigh. Each blow should have been fatal, yet each was parried by the mage.
So maybe he's fighting Geralt, actually. Yeah. So maybe he was fighting Geralt in this picture.
I think it's that I'm up to this in the book, and it's an intense section of the book. But yeah, they get into a fight, and it's a very intense fight. So I've just kind of finished that part, but I'm yet to pick up the book again, unfortunately. So I do want to finish it, but I think this card is that exact moment. You can see the castle behind him. So yeah, that's where I'm up to in the book. But yeah, Vilgefortz, as you mentioned, is one of the more powerful mages, and he's a big part of the Witcher universe.
Exactly, yeah. Like I said, he plays a huge part. I believe, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's Witcher 1 or 2 in the games, because I never played them, and I don't want to be that guy that's incorrect. But I want to say Vilgefortz is one of the main antagonists in one of those 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't remember. I've never played them.
Yeah,
as sad as it is, I started on Witcher 3, so
me too.
That's how I fell in love with the series.
Yeah, same.
And I don't actually have all the books. I have 2 of the books. I believe I have Blood of Elves, and the other one is what is it called? I think it's. I'll have to look. I'll let you guys know.
Well,
I recognize the name.
If I move my chair, you can see. Wait, I gotta go this way. Can you see the box set right there?
Right there at the bottom?
Yep.
Is that it on the right?
That's the Witcher.
Wow.
So that's the Witcher books.
You have the
so I have the whole box set.
Yeah, so I have the Last Wish and Blood of Elves. I don't have Sword of Destiny.
Oh, okay. So I think the last wish. I don't want to say because I don't want people coming back to me like you're all wrong. But I think the last wish might, because one of the books is more like short stories, and I did read one of them. And it's more a collection of short stories, still involving Geralt. But yeah.
Yeah,
I think there's 5 main books and two other books that kind of supplement the series. But yeah, I mean, I need to get into the books
that I have. Yeah, I want to get the entire series, but I think was it you that I had this conversation with? Where like I don't want to buy paperback books. I'd rather have hardcovers.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was you that I was having this conversation with.
Yeah, it was with me.
The entire set.
Yeah, I mean, I love hardcover too.
That's my pet peeve, I guess. I wish they had them all on hardcover, and I would just could just buy the entire series. That'd be really great.
Well, if anyone is listening and they
But
know where to get the hardcovers, please let Ezra's know. He will thank you a lot.
exactly, please. I will get it instantly if they had it.
So let's sum up what we've revealed today. So, well, we didn't reveal it, but we discussed the reveal. So we have the Illusionist, the Imperial Practitioner, Lydia Van Redevort, and then we have Vilgefortz Renegade. Which is your favorite card?
Yeah, like so I'd say I think Lydia will be the most fun for me to play. I like being that kind of guy that's gonna manipulate my opponent's strategies. So yeah, definitely Lydia. Being able to deny what she can with her ranged ability. He's probably more up my lane than trying to high roll with something on the melee row that may or may not pay off. So yeah, Lydia on ranged definitely is what I would like to play, and that maybe Imperial Practitioner. I like the fact that it doesn't limit to you like to a bronze special like Lydia does. So one of both of those cards, and the art on him looks really nice too.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that premium looking really good because it's almost like if I could guess, because he's making some kind of vial of poison, and he's pouring it into that person's mouth there on the table, I could see him probably pouring that in as part of the premium. So I could see him looking really nice for the meteorite powder.
Yeah, I would say my favorite as well is Lydia for sure. I just think with the 9 provision cost, it's not a super expensive card, but there's a lot of options what you can do with her. And yeah, it's kind of something I would see in my deck for sure. Vilgefortz, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'd still like to give him a go. And yes, I think maybe my second favorite would probably be the Imperial Practitioner as well. So I think I'm the
Yeah.
same with you there, Ezra. I think I'm a big Nilfgaard fan, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about playing my opponent's graveyard because now I think if people play Nilfgaard, I think they're going to be too afraid to commit their good cards or cards they think that will work against them in round one. But I think once the patch is released for these cards, it'll be very interesting to see what everyone plays, and I think for Nilfgaard fans and I know Nilfgaard is not very liked in terms of being if you're playing against them because yeah, again, it's just they use their strengths against you. But I think with these cards, it'll be very very interesting.
No, yeah, I agree. Another thing too, I wanted to point out with Vilgefortz. So Vilgefortz was also revealed by our teammate Lirio. So that is another card reveal we've had from Team Legacy. In the last expansion we had Orb of Insight, and then we also had the Elven Seer revealed by Max and Gabby respectively, or Max and Mel and Gabby respectively. So Team Legacy seems to be getting quite a bit of the card reveals, and it's good to
Yeah.
see. So this is a message to CDPR. I want my card reveal. Emil needs one as well.
Well, I have to become Gwent partner first, so CDPR if you're listening.
Yes,
Check your
CDPR,
emails.
if you're listening, this is your application. Take it into consideration right
Basically.
now.
Basically.
Um,
But yeah, amazing. Well, thank you for joining me today, Ezra, on discussing the Nilfgaard
yes, it's
reveals.
always fun.
It's always a lot of fun and such a blast. Who is up next for the reveals?
Syndicate is if
Oh,
they're going off of the order of the
Syndicate.
website, and it's Syndicate, which is I don't think that's all. Has it always been in that order?
I don't know, but I am
Maybe
going off by
I
I'm going off by
the website.
the order website. So it looks like Syndicate's gonna be next. Look, don't hold us again. Like, don't hold us to it. I
I
don't think
think
we're 100%.
Northern Realms was first last time. I want to say Northern Realms was
Okay.
first last time, and then it was Squatel, then it was Nilfgaard, then it was Skellige, then Syndicate, then Monsters, I believe. If I
Mm-hmm.
remember correctly, I could be wrong. We could just look at it, but I don't think I've ever seen Syndicate this early. So I remember
Well,
clearly Northern Realms being like one of the first ones in the previous expansion.
we'll be covering that one as well once it's all out. Little teaser from CDPR. The tagline says, "Gather a whole family to celebrate a profitable hunting season." So
Yay! More
we'll just
bounties, maybe in
maybe or
Blanket.
things that will I think things that will create coins for you. But it sounds like
Yeah.
it's a family. So I'm just trying to
Welcome to
think
the
of,
family, son.
yeah,
For
I'm just
anybody
trying
who
to,
likes Resident Evil out there, that was a little line from Resident Evil 7. No.
so
But
it's
yeah, like I
definitely,
said, it looks like it's gonna be bounty most likely. It's keeping along with the theme of the other two releases. It's all been bounty so far.
I actually disagree. I don't think it's going to be bound. I think obviously the theme is going to, all four cars, they're all going to be related to each other. Like they're actually they come from a family. So I'd have to look into that more because we obviously have, you know, the remember there's like the horse and junior with the horse and senior. That's a family. But look,
True.
again, I don't know. We need to look into it more. But I think it's going to be things that have the profit keyword in it. So that's what I think.
Yeah,
But we'll just have to wait and see.
yeah, we could.
So,
Yeah, we can speculate. I believe they'll probably be revealed over the weekend, most likely.
yes.
Um, and like I said, every one of these cards will be revealed before October 5th. So when the expansion drops, so everybody that's I actually know this is just me. I don't know if this applies to anybody else, but I actually get more hyped for the reveals than the expansion itself because I always like to see what the cards are going to be,
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of
even if
people.
the expansion turns out to be not everybody's favorite. But the card reveals get me more hyped than the actual release day of the expansion until I learn how all the cards work.
I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. So thank you again, Ezra's, for joining me on doing this the Nilfgaard reveal discussion. And we'll see you guys next time.
All right, see you later, everybody.